Yes, it is that time of year again. Thousands of students across the country are going to graduate. A bunch of college students headed home for summer break already. Now, parents and guardians and students, we all just need to figure out how to adjust to these new roles. And so to help all of you with that, Jessica Schlosberg from Cone Health is here today. She is a licensed social worker in Cone Health's outpatient behavioral health site in Greensboro. All right, so let's talk about working through some weird transitions that we're all going to go through. And let's start with the high school students getting ready to make a really big adjustment, the parents too.
It is a huge adjustment. This is the first time our kids are getting out on their own and becoming adults and being the grown-ups that we hoped that they always would be. And as we know, we don't like change. So all of these things are really tough to navigate.
So the range of emotions, I'm sure, can be, we all think of this as a celebratory time, but I'm sure the range of emotions just runs the gamut.
Oh yeah, you're going to see everything that there is. There's going to be excitement, and there's going to be a lot of worries, and a lot of excitement, and a lot of worries. You're going to have people who are feeling really anxious. You're going to have people who are feeling sad, probably all in the same minute and a half.
Yeah.
You will also have some irritability because change is uncomfortable. And we don't, like I said before, nobody likes change. We only change when we're really uncomfortable. And so when it's time to make these big changes, expect some discomfort, because home is so safe and lovely and wonderful, and we all really like to be there. But now it's time to go to college and move into the dorm or move into an apartment, have this big change away from our friends, our families. We're going to have a new group of people to spend time with and get to know. And we also have to figure out who we are.
All right, so what advice do you have for those who are graduating and are feeling anxious about this whole time?
Yeah, the first thing I always tell people is just take a breath, just breathe. It's going to be okay. It's all going to work out. Everyone that you're going to meet is going through the same thing. And if they haven't already experienced it, they're going through it with you. And I think being able to remind yourself that these are exciting changes. Our brains don't really know much difference between anxiety and excitement. It's all kind of the same emotion. It's just the reason. So if we can encourage our kids and ourselves, even as parents, to look at this as an exciting time. Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, there's a lot of unknown things happening, but it is really exciting, and we can look at it with some joy and curiosity, and hopefully leave some of that upset, anxiety, worries, leave them alone.
All right, so from the parents' angle, because a lot of times the person who is graduating doesn't really want to talk to their parents about how they're feeling about it. So how should a parent approach that?
Well, I think it all depends on the relationship you have with your child. Depending on how open your relationship with your kid has been up till now, that's going to dictate a lot of how you address it. The number one thing I would say is don't push too hard, but just, we use a lot of reflections. Just kind of say, when I left for college the first time, I was really scared. I was really feeling worried, or I was really excited and couldn't wait to meet all these new friends, or whatever. But giving them the opportunity to kind of open up based on your own experience. How did you feel when you left home for the first time? And so maybe they would feel the same way. Maybe your kids feel the same way. Maybe they feel differently. But also just being open, letting them know that you're there to talk to them. And if they're not comfortable talking to you about how they feel, there's a lot of people in their lives that they could talk to about this. Trusted adults, your friends' parents, teachers, coaches, the doctor, the therapist, the minister, the rabbi, whoever it is that you feel close to. These are trusted adults that are going to give you some good advice.
All right, so since we're on the parent angle at the moment, what advice do you have for parents who may struggle with their kids moving on to this new phase of life? The home has been the home and everybody's been there, and then all of a sudden they're empty nesters.
Well, breathe. Again, this is the most important thing. If we're not breathing, we're not living. So we're going to have to survive this with one breath at a time sometimes. But a lot of it has to do with, again, dealing with your own anxiety, dealing with your own emotions. Making sure that you have other things to focus on also really helps. Staying connected to your kids when they're away, and also having your own life and, work or socialize or volunteer, get involved in a hobby, do things that are going to kind of distract your mind a little bit, just so that you don't feel so bad about it, but also allow yourself, it's almost like a grieving process. Allow yourself the time to feel what you're feeling, because all of your feelings are legitimate. All of your feelings matter. And, you know, as silly as they might seem, they're real. So let's not judge it. Give yourself the chance to feel your feelings, and, you know, then find something else to occupy your time.
Yes, and definitely some commiserating with some other parents will probably help as well. All right, so we are going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. We're going to talk about what happens when the graduate moves away. How do you prepare kids and parents? And also, like, what happens when they come back, like for the break? How do you adjust back to that? We want to get ahead of it. We'll be talking about that next. We're back with Jessica Schlosberg, a social worker from Cone Health Outpatient Behavioral Health, and we're talking about the transition as people are graduating, moving away, and that kind of thing. So with that said, if the graduate plans to move away, how should both the parent and the kids prepare for that?
I think it's always important to have a family meeting and talk about what our relationship is going to be like in terms of support, what to expect financially, what to expect, you know, with communication. You certainly don't want to leave your kid, drop them at the dorm, and then not expect to talk to them until Thanksgiving break. So giving that conversation about, let's talk to each other at least every couple of days. Let's make sure we're in communication if you need anything, and being able to establish some expectations in terms of studying and going to classes and making sure they get good grades and all of those things too.
Okay. So for parents with kids home from college, because they'll come home, you know, for the summer break, right? Maybe you had your kid and they were gone all year and they're coming home for summer break. They might notice that their child is more independent and wants to push the boundaries a little bit, like curfew, house rules, that kind of thing. How do you deal with that?
Family meeting. Let's talk about what this is going to be like. You're coming home. It's the summer. You've been on your own for the past 8-9 months. You're home now. I want you to be an adult. I'm proud of you. You've done fantastic. And you live in my house now. So now I'm going to worry about you. I want to know when you're coming home. If you're going to stay out, send me a text. If you are going out with your friends and you're imbibing, drinking, whatever, call me and let me know that you need a ride home. I'm cool with that. But making sure the open lines of communication are there, so that way everyone's comfortable. That's the biggest part, is everyone has to be comfortable. Your child has to be comfortable coming home. You have to be comfortable with them being home.
Yeah, and of course,
go ahead.
Because you have your own expectation of what it's going to be like. They have their own expectation of what it's going to be like. They're probably not the same.
Probably not, but they're also going to be expected to do some things around the house. If they're living there for the summer rent-free, then they should, you know, pick up a little, do some laundry, make sure they're keeping on top of stuff. If they have to get a job, they should get a job. You know, being an adult doesn't stop at summer break. If you're going to be an adult during college, you should be an adult when you're at home from college.
That is a really good point. All right, so what happens if there's like a disagreement in these kinds of rules and this kind of thing?
I think it's just communicating. Let's figure out how to make this work. We can use some communication skills. We can negotiate. If there's a problem with some simple rules, let's figure out how to make them work for all of us.
Okay, so what about what red flags maybe should parents look for? Like, how would they know it's more than just their kid growing up, they're having some issues while they're home or transitioning or whatever else?
I think just keep an eye on them. You're going to notice some differences in your child after being away for a few months because they've grown up. So you will see some more adult kind of behavior. Maybe they've gotten into some unhealthy sleep patterns. Maybe they are staying out too late, sleeping all day. I think that's oftentimes what happens when the kids first come home from college. But if they can't rally and get back into a more normal schedule, you may want to have a conversation about that. If you're concerned about any substance misuse, I would have a conversation in a really non-judgmental way. And if you're concerned about the people they're spending time with that are tending to do some of those things too much, you may want to just have that talk. It's all about being able to communicate openly with your child. They're an adult now. You're an adult. Let's talk about this like adults.
Okay, so when you say non-judgmental way, you may have to school us a little bit on a few like sentences, you know, gateway sentences to lead into that.
Yeah, I mean, it could be just as simple as, what kind of stuff do you guys get into when you go out at night? Is there any drinking? you know, and you know, we've always been really open about making sure that you're safe, and that's my number one concern. I don't worry about you nearly as much when you're in college because I can't see you, but now that you're under my roof, I'm paying attention a little bit more, and I love you. This is what we're here for. I'm here to support you. I want to help you out, and also I want to make sure you're safe.
And any options for parents and young adults as they continue to move through this transition period?
Ask for help. Ask for help. Don't be afraid. It's okay. If you feel like this is too much for you to handle on your own, it might be. Let's ask for help. There's plenty of counselors, wonderful, wonderful people who are trained and certified in these things to talk with your family, to spend time with you, and really help your kids be successful and your family be successful, because this is a team effort. We can't do this all by ourselves all the time.
Right, and we don't come out of the womb kind of knowing how to navigate all these things, so.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. And the thing that happens when you confront your kids about some of these uncomfortable things is that they become defensive a lot of times. So being able to work with your child, work with the family about how can we talk about this without getting defensive? You're not in trouble. We just have to fix it.
And I love the part where you say, and we love you, we care about you. That is like the overall thing of, you know, we just want to make sure that you're okay because we love you. Thanks so much for joining us today. Lots of good information here. We're going to post all of this on our website. Just go to the 2-Year Wellbeing section.